Hey, what's up followers? Dave here from CNC3D. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can choose to configure your machine and to configure our CNC3D Commander software so that it will work in both either imperial inches or in conventional metric units. So we've just got our CNC3D Commander software open here. We're just connected up to one of our Nighthawk controllers via USB. Let's just go ahead and connect up to our controller. Now, the first thing that you will notice on the left-hand side here on the digital readout, we have 3 decimal places. Now, this is usually an indication that we are currently in metric mode, and it will be the default mode that your actual machine will be in when you first do install Commander. And so what we're going to do, we're just going to go through and show you how easy it is for you to be able to switch over to imperial inches. So for all of our friends over in the United States using Commander, it should hopefully be an easier experience for you. So over here we have the operations tab within Commander, so we're going to click on there, and you will notice that we have the machine units here, which is currently set to metric millimeters. If you just click down here onto imperial inches and then just go ahead and update your operation settings, you can see that our digital readout now has a whole bunch of 4 decimal place numbers, which is a nice and easy number of decimals for all of our friends using inches there that want to do very small incremental jogs. And what you will notice as well, now that we've changed this over, is that all of the default values within here now suit more inch type movements or measurements that you may wish to travel, and your feed rates as well correspond to inches per minute as well. Now, if we go into the probing wizard, you will see that now all of the values in here are in inches, and obviously what you will need to do is, if you were previously running in metric and now you are going into imperial inches, it's very important for you to adjust these numbers and remeasure them using your vernier calipers so that they actually suit imperial values. So this here for Z would in fact be 5 inches. So you might want to change that to whatever the actual thickness of the Z is there. And that should hopefully make things a little bit easier for you when you guys are going through and obviously changing through to imperial. Now, it is important for you as well to go in here and make sure that these numbers are also correctly adjusted to suit your imperial inches as well. Otherwise, you may find that it may go and just fly off in a much further distance than you were expecting. So just be very careful when you do go through to make sure you do adjust these settings. The good news is that once you actually go ahead and change to imperial inches and you've adjusted these values, unless you physically change the setting on your controller to go back into millimeters, then it should actually retain all of the information within Commander, and these values will be stored within this installation of CNC3D Commander itself. So nice and easy for you to go through and be able to switch over and of course use our fantastic probing wizard, which is in our CNC3D Commander software. So we'll just close out of here. Now, there are a couple of things for us to mention here. And that is, with most GRBL based controllers, including our Nighthawk, which the core G-code parsing logic of our Nighthawk does use the GRBL platform because it simply works extremely well, and it is extremely configurable. So there are a couple of things which will always remain metric within the GRBL platform or any other GRBL based controller. And if we go here to the measurements tab, the X steps per millimeter, Y, Z, and A. So all of these values will always be expressed in millimeters or steps per millimeter. The good news is that once you go through and adjust these settings once to suit your machine, you theoretically shouldn't ever have to come back and adjust them again, unless you were to go through and, say, for example, change your drive system from, say, a ball screw drive system to a belt drive system. Then you'll probably need to tweak these values in order to suit your machine. Now, in the axes tab here, there are a couple of other values which are also always expressed in millimeters per minute or millimeters per minute squared, and that is your axis acceleration values and your max speeds per axis as well. So just keep that in mind, that you may need to adjust these values, or these values will always be in a metric number. So once you do have these set though, again, you probably never really need to revisit them again unless you wanted to do some tweaks to your machine. So it's really that simple for you just to go into the operations tab and just change your machine units to imperial. Now, the only other thing to point out here is that this will basically tell your controller that it is in fact in imperial inches, but when you do actually create your jobs and set up your jobs and you are working with imperial inches or millimeters, make sure that you do choose the correct post processor so that it will automatically put it into the correct mode to suit you. So if you're using a program like Carveco, make sure that if you are operating in inches that you do use one of our post processors that suit inches. Otherwise, all of your jobs will actually still be in metric. So the difference there being is that in the initial setup of these jobs, it will either issue a G20 for imperial inches, or it will issue a G21 for metric millimeters. So just be aware to make sure you do set up your jobs as well. Other than that, Commander completely supports the ability for imperial inches. That being said, there are a couple of little things that we may have missed. At this point in time, we do currently have a version of Commander which is due for release very shortly, where we have also updated our jogging buttons, or our jogging functions, so that they will also work with imperial inches as well. At present, they are currently millimeters only, but in the next release of Commander, you will be able to obviously set up all of your jogging functions for imperial inches. So at the time of this video, the current production version of Commander is build 299. So if you have build 300 or later, then all of these fixes have already been put in place. So we basically made this video because a few people have said that Commander doesn't actually support imperial inches, when in actual fact it does. So hopefully this video has been really helpful for you about how you can use our CNC3D Commander software with one of your imperial machines. And we hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll be putting out some awesome new content in the near future.